Testing, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, testing. Hello there, and welcome to the first episode of your Intenet Muslim. I am your host, Link Hispanic, and yeah, this is the first episode of this podcast where I am basically just going to be talking about what I'm seeing on the internet regarding Muslims, regarding, anything to do with that. And I think for the first episode, it would be quite fitting to just talk about the current state of Muslims online, right? I got a lot of things to say per se, but I just want to start out by saying that, the things that I say, they're more just observational. I really, don't mean it to, target or whatever single, brother or sister that does this type of content. These are just my observations. I guess I should kind of give a little bit of background about myself. This August will be my 5th year being a convert into Islam, and for me, what I really enjoyed, what I guess really attracted me to Islam itself, is that sense of independency, right? I grew up Catholic, raised Catholic. I'm Latino, so there's that. And the one thing I was always observing that, although we had a pretty strong community per se, always we would go to church, and, there would always be a big community, people from the community coming together. An observation that I was making as I got older was, some Latinos, not everybody, but in their way of being in our culture, sometimes they like to be very catty, like to do a lot of backbiting or judging and stuff like that, which sounds kind of ironic considering what we're going to be talking about today. But what I mean more is that it was always, people coming together, doing their thing during Mass. But then once you left Mass, everyone was back to doing their usual thing, right? There didn't seem to be as much of a self-development. People kind of always were at each other's necks, and that was something that once I started living by myself, or being pretty independent, since I did that when I was 15, that was the point where, I really needed to just find myself, find my own identity. And it sounds very interesting to say that now that I think about it, because it makes me sound like I was going through like an angsty teen phase, but I really wasn't, to be honest. I think it was just more, well, I have to do my own thing. I know that since a very young age, I was always told to, do the most that you can with your education. And I didn't want to let people down on that. So, I've been always working to be better. And, alhamdulillah, I was able to, graduate high school, travel across the country by myself with very little funds to do my undergrad, and find myself in Japan after that, and like teaching there for 2 years. And then now I'm currently doing my master's program. And, the people that I've met, I mean, honestly, in some way, if Allah wills, I would have found Islam in one way or another. But I think the way that I did find it through the brothers in the university, I think that was a really good time, especially this was post-COVID. So I had definitely gone through, like, I would consider my darkest days. Not necessarily that I was like depressed or anything like that, but just the actions that I was doing. I, you know, I was like, I just don't need this in my life, you know? It was not something that I needed. But anyways, with all that said, you know, I really found that kind of beauty to be just kind of one-on-one. Like, I didn't have to be in a congregation. You know, of course, Jumas are great, meeting the brothers and feeling that unison, but having that ability to just be by yourself, you know, like, ironically, I have my prayer mat right here, next to me. But yeah, you know, I can just be in my room alone and just kind of have that moment of reflection and, you know, do my best with the surahs, because trust me, sometimes I struggle, but I really try to make the most out of it. And yeah, like, you can just do that anywhere. Like, I've seen those videos online, I guess, to get kind of started. Like, you see those brothers, that they're in these, like, middle of nowhere, like, mountain tops or whatever, and they're always doing, like, you know, their salah or whatever. And so you're like, oh my God, this looks so great. You know, this looks so, like, magical, peaceful or whatever, which definitely, yeah. But then when you think about it, it's like, well, this person is recording themselves or has someone recording them. Then it feels a little bit awkward. But trust me, I've done it. I've done my share. Like, I did a few share videos where I'm, like, recording myself doing, you know, salah and whatever. Does it feel awkward? Yes, because, like, you subconsciously know in the back of your head that you're kind of doing it for the sake of the video rather than actually doing it. So yeah, that was always something. Like, every once in a while I'll see, like, the video of, like, a brother, you know, it's like, this is my morning routine, or this is the thing I'm doing, and then when they do, you know, sujud or whatever, it it feels like, you know, for sure, like, either this person kept the video running the whole time while they actually did it, you know, they were actually intending and focused, or they just did the part, and then once they finished that part, then, you know, they cut it nice, and then they, like, got up quickly and turned off the camera or whatnot. So it's one of those things where, I guess, as a quote unquote content creator myself, I mean that in big, you know, quotation marks, that, you know, the behind the scenes, you realize, like, yeah, this is kind of awkward. This is very awkward. But apart from that, actually, now that I think about it, hold on. Let me put a timer, because my camera does not tell me necessarily how much time has elapsed. And I also don't want to make these things go for, like, too long. You know, just have a nice chat. So, okay, there we go. We've got a timer set. But anyway, so with all of this, the one thing that, like, some of the other things that I've been seeing, you know, with the current state of, like, things that I see online regarding, like, Muslim content creators, right, is you definitely have waves of them, right? Like, for me, I was introduced to three specific ones, right? We have Yusuf Truth, Jeffrey something, the British guy, and then Dao Kim, right? So these were the three guys that I was, like, introduced when I was, like, kind of trying to find Islamic content creators, right? And so they all have their own style, right? They all have evolved their content. You know, it's kind of weird. In some ways, you know, when you look up to somebody, but they're technically speaking younger than you. So you're just like, wait a second, hold on, what's going on, right? And, you know, of course, I think there's always been the you know that when you're making content online, that there's going to be some kind of how do you say it? Some form of, backlash about something. There's a quote unquote drama or whatever, right? Which of course happens, I guess, to anybody. But I think what they did at the time was definitely something that was a little bit out of the norm. Their editing styles were very unique, stuff that I wish I could get to. But yeah, because my only experience, let's say, with creation online, before I started doing YouTube stuff, was doing another podcast. Well, actually, it was a radio show with my friend. So we had fun. I made a separate account for it, and I posted these things online, and they're just for fun, right? It was just like a good 30 minutes of just us bantering about whatever, because we were in college. Well, I was in college. She had graduated, and we just had a good time. It was very fun experience, and I really felt like I could be creative, right? Or rather, what we were talking about, the advertisements that I made online, like all that stuff was always fun to come up with. And although we were thinking that we wanted to make content again, unfortunately we live kind of in different places. That wasn't the case. So I was like, well, I kind of still have that creative itch, and I just wanted to make stuff, try stuff. I think I'm the semi-perfectionist person where it's like, I want it to be this way, look this way, or whatnot. Like, to this point, to the audio listeners, like, I haven't even figured out really how to make the settings of this camera look well or good enough. I just kind of turned it on, and then here we go. Let's see how it looks. So yeah, it's something that I'm just working on, and we'll see how things go. But okay, so backtracking to what I was talking about, right? So you have these brothers that are very, like, there's a message behind everything that they're doing. And they just had a very nice vlogging style of just their journey about what they were doing, how they went through their own struggles, and just trying to find Islam, or once they found Islam, how to connect with the community in a certain way, right? You have one person who was really trying to kind of connect himself with the Quran in reciting, especially because during Ramadan he would be the one that would be doing all the recitations. So we got a behind the scenes of that. We have another one who, through his own journeys around the world, he found Islam and then fully made it. And then after that, just he's a traveler, right? So still to this day, he likes to make travel videos. And then another one who, through just their own personal battles in life, they managed to find Islam, and then was really engrossed in that, and then finding the communities that he really enjoyed, which ironically, those two guys, they really like Pakistan. And one day, inshallah, we'll get to go to Pakistan as well. But yeah, so it's just dealing with all that stuff. And it's a very interesting thing. For me, I'm somewhat of a private person. I tell you things as it is. I'll tell you a bit about myself, and then like something that like everyone would know, and then that's it. However, for this like online persona, I just want to do something that's a little bit more personal to myself, a little bit of like, you could say, diary style, because I could tell you, a few I think maybe a month ago, I looked back at some videos that I have uploaded when I first started doing YouTube. This is when I was like a teenager. Yeah, it was in high school, and I used a cousin's camcorder to record these videos about, because I think at the time I was interested, like I really liked enjoying reading books, and I was like, all right, I need to like I would like to like do book reviews or something, because if you remember like Loot Crate, or like the loot boxes that each month they would give out random trash, technically speaking, but then some of them were books based ones, and so I would watch people like unbox them and then maybe read the book, give a review of the book and whatnot. So then I was like, ooh, that's something I would like to do, let me review some books. So yeah, I spent some time just like, let me do some. I think I only got to 5 books that I reviewed, but there's only 2 of them. I don't know what happened to the other 3. I think I might have deleted them or something happened to them. And as well as like other kind of like vloggy style videos, because there was the first YouTube creators that had like their very specific, like, I am talking about this topic, and then they have like a lot of cutting editing style. I didn't know how to do that, so I would just talk nonstop with minimal editing. And so it was so funny just to see how I talked back then, still like kind of before puberty. So, and I mean, I look at myself and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm still the same. I have that same like stupid, funny, like, jokey kind of personality style. And we just looking at back then, I'm like, man, dude, you don't even know what's going to go on with your life. But that made it very interesting for myself. Anyway, so going back to the main topic itself, right? So you have the Vlog Brothers, not the YouTube channel, but like the brothers that vlog about their daily life, about something. There's a few that I follow now that I really enjoy their content. Although I will admit sometimes I forget to like fully watch it. I might watch a little bit and then kind of like, okay, move on. But I do enjoy their just like optimism. That's what I enjoy a lot more. That kind of personality. And then of course the big section, the one I think a lot of brothers are trying to get into, which is like, the gym brothers, right? Like they're trying to like, yo, I'm gonna help you. Like, all right, it's like kind of like this. So it's like you have the ones that are like, they're going to help you. Like, okay, this is what I've been doing. This is what you should do. You have the ones that are showing their journey about trying to become, better. And then you have the ones that like try to put messaging into it, but it kind of sounds a little bit disingenuous. And I was like, I don't know. Like for myself, if you look at me, audio listeners, you most likely can't see me. Am I the best person in shape? No. Do I try to get myself better in shape? Yes. Right? I really enjoy cardio. That's the one thing I do like, I used to do weights and I was really into it, but then I had a surgery, so then I had to stop. But now, technically speaking, I have the okay to do it, but it's just kind of putting that commitment. That's usually my my crux, the needing to really step my foot down and be like, okay, I need to do this. But cardio, at least every day I do a decent amount of cardio. Although I still get winded from time to time. I don't know why, but it happens. Anyway, with all that saying, you have those brothers, right? So it's an interesting population. Some people like to be very flashy with their editing styles. Other ones are very simplistic. It really is up to your taste, you know. I think it's the same thing of like, the type of imam that you listen to is really up to your personality and your taste, you know, style. Because there's some people that they really like the imams that are like, they sound like they're berating you. You know, they're your dad, right? Like the one's like, you know this, da 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 da, right? So some people, they really like that, you know, that kind of directness. I really like, you know, like motivational in some sense, you know. And then you have other people who, you know, like it to be a little bit more like, let's actually put things together, you know, like let's analyze this, let's like really see what is being meant and how can you apply that in your life. And then you have other ones that are more, you know, a little bit more laid back. Other ones are a little bit, you know, more stronger. So there's like a wide range depending on who's saying it, right? So honestly, I think for that one, it's really up to, if you go to your masjid, do you like the way that the imam gives the khutbah, right? I think that's like, if you like that imam's way of giving khutbah, then look for people, like look for other imams, certified ones, you know, of course, that have that style. I think that's the one that's going to help you a lot more. I think those are the ones that are gonna like ingrain in your head a lot more, because you'll just be like, oh yeah, I remember when he was saying that thing, and they'll stick. And it's very interesting to see the way how they just kind of get that message across. I, for myself, like the ones that are really shouty, you know, I feel a little bit more detracted to listen to them. Just because, I don't know, triggered, kidding, not triggered like that. But you know, it's just something that I would feel less motivated to listen to if I was scrolling, you know, like if you're on TikTok, which I'm not really on. I have an account, but I don't even use it. I don't like using TikTok. Maybe Instagram or YouTube, yeah. But you know, when you're scrolling, so like when you see an imam shows up and they're giving like a message, like a motivational one, if it's the one where they're like, brother, you must, that's like, okay, you know what, sorry, you know, because it just like immediately I just recoil, like, that's just for me, right? Only for me. If you really find that like as that thing that wakes you up, you know, good for you. There are a few who are, you know, very strong in their way of talking that I do like to listen to, but it's not everybody, right? It really just depends on the person. So yeah, and that was one thing that I guess was a reason why I was kind of trying to detract a little bit from when I was finding Islam, you know, like the imams that could really guide you, could really like tell you a story, and like captivate you in that way. I think those are the ones that for me helped a lot to just kind of figure out to understand Islam. Because if it was just the ones that were like very shouty, I feel like I would have been very detracted from it, because it would just remind me a little bit too much of like Protestant preachers, like pastors, because in my community, the country like was majority Catholics, but then you also had Protestants and other like Christians, right? And so from my house we could hear the Protestants when they had their church, and it was like every day or every other day. And so their whole thing is that they love, like, it's singing, and it's singing very loud. And then it's preaching, and then it's preaching very loud, and it's like, hallelujah, hermano, gloria al Señor. I'm just saying, like, hallelujah, brother, glory be to God, whatever. It's so stupid. Okay. But yeah, so it's that kind of stuff where I was like, having that kind of same similarity, I was just like, I don't like this. It's just not my vibe, It just doesn't suit well with what I would need, right? But yeah, so then you have those brothers, right? We're talking about the gym ones, the imam, like your motivational ones. Then you also see, I know, the vloggy ones as well. And then I'm like, thank God, I don't see anything from like the couples ones, because like couple content online, to begin with, why put yourself through that burden? And then you have like the Muslim ones. I'm like, you make it sound even more cringy. That's all I'm gonna say. Just full stop point. There can be good ones, but I haven't found something that I would enjoy, right? I think, and it's not for the case of like, of like, why are you showing your wife, blah 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 blah. Like, that's not the case. For me, I think if Allah grants me a wife and everything, I think it would just kind of be, have her do her thing. I wouldn't want her to get involved with this, because I'm putting myself out there already. I'm putting myself as a target. I wouldn't want my wife, I wouldn't want my kids to be put out there as targets as well. That's just not necessary. So I just wouldn't want to deal with that necessarily. But I mean, Allah knows best their intentions, and I'm not one to judge, right? Allah knows well what they mean. And so for me, if I see something, whoop, just whoop, you just swipe, you just move on, just keep on going with your life, and that's it, right? It's like, you don't like something that you see online, whoop. You can either just say, swipe, ignore, press the little button, say, don't suggest this, don't recommend me this. And if it's something that's really bad, then yeah, report or something, right? But is there a need to be like saying, brother, this is wrong, what are you doing? I'm like, come on, they've heard this a million times. You're not the first one that is saying something about this kind of situation, right? So just be like, well, you know best. If you want to do that, go ahead. Be my guest. But if not, do your own thing. But yeah, so to each their own. I guess that's the general message for everybody, right? About this whole thing. But yeah, so then you have those, and then you have some of the ones that are like funny, right? Like you gotta get some of the funny ones. And honestly, I was having a conversation with a brother recently, and I was like, yeah, we were talking about like something, and I said, like, I wish, like, I know there's like the one story, I'm not sure if it's in the Quran or if it's not in the Quran, but there's a companion who was like known to just make everybody laugh, right? And that even made the Prophet laugh, especially in times of hardship and whatnot. So then, for me, I was like, that's what I would aspire to be. It's like someone that always looks at the bright side of life. Is optimistic, but is also a realist, right? It's like, when you need to be serious, right? You can't make everything of jokes, right? That's the one big thing. And I take that like for granted. Like, I practiced that myself, that, hey, when it comes to be jokey, ha ha ha, sure. When it comes to being serious, time to be serious. And, that's about it. But yeah, so there's definitely a few brothers or sisters, I guess. Once in a while I get a few sisters that'll do some funny joke things. And so, I'll be like, ha ha ha, get it. Although sometimes, whether because, well, the ones that I see mostly are from like Egypt, Algeria, like the Gulf countries, Morocco. So sometimes will I understand 100% the joke that they're saying? No. But when they start laughing, does it make me want to laugh? Yes. So, that's pretty much that. And point of story, finito, right? So, yeah, it's a very it's just fun content, right? I think that's what a lot of this social media stuff is. It's mostly just people's daily lives. Something funny happens, boom, you put it out there, people laugh for a little bit, get some enjoyment, move on. So I think some people take this like social media stuff very seriously, which if it's your livelihood, of course, you want to take it as serious as possible. But if you're just kind of doing it for the giggles, then, just do it, have fun while you can, and, just make sure that whatever you do it with the best of intentions. I mean, that's kind of what I want to do usually with my content. Like, how many ideas have I had for like really stupid, just like one-off jokey things that I would love to film? Like, I've written down so many ideas of like very dumb, like skit ideas or whatever. But when I take a step back and I look at them, I'm like, how is this beneficial? Like, right? Like, if it's for like a minor haha and it's like in fairness, sure, I might release it. Or might actually make the content. But if it's something that I'm like, is this really necessary? Like, is this something that I really want to do? Like, what is the benefit from it? Then I might not do it, right? And I always like to challenge myself in like, what can I actually do and what can help other people, right? Because as I always say with every person that I meet, I'm a Latino Muslim. Are there many of us? No. And yes. Is that starting to become bigger? Yes. But do we have our own identity, right? Like, compared to everybody else, right? I think we don't. So I don't want it to be kind of like Islam, but with the shell of like Latino culture as we currently know it, with the jokes and everything. I want it to be something a little bit more, and that, it's something that can help other converts or reverts, whatever the word you use, and, just gives a new perspective for other brothers and sisters from different nations. And that's the timer. Perfect timing. I guess a good way to wrap up the first episode, no? So, yeah. Thank you so much for listening to Your Internet Muslim. I am Ling Hispanic. And if you enjoy the video or enjoy the audio, please make sure to like, comment down below, anything. Subscribe if you want. Up to you. And yeah, inshallah, I'll see you guys in the next video or the next episode with whatever next topic I talk about. So yeah, see you later. Assalamu alaikum. Adios.